Hello, it's Imbolc. It's a new month. It's day one of the new month, and it is the cross-quarter holiday dedicated to the goddess Brigid and to her healing ways, her poetry, her smithcraft, her tending of the sacred flame. And it is a special day for people who observe the Celtic Wheel of the Year or the Irish Wheel of the Year. It's an important day, though, really, for even people in the US who observe the 8 Sabbats. And today, we are starting to offer in the temple a few things between today and tomorrow that I want to make sure everyone knows about. One is that tonight, Priestess Tara Honora and her friend M are going to be offering a ritual crafting on Zoom. If you go into the Goddess Temple app, you'll find the details about how to register there. And that's going to be Central time, I think 7 p.m. Central time, which would be 5 p.m. West Coast time and 8 p.m. East Coast time. And then tomorrow at 5 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. East Coast time, we have in Facebook, in the Goddess Without Borders group, there is a concert, donation-based concert with chanteuse and comedian Celia Farron, who did a wonderful concert in there for us on winter solstice, and she's back again with a concert for Brigid on tomorrow night at 5 p.m. West Coast time. And then at 7 p.m. West Coast time tomorrow night in the Goddess Temple app, I will be live streaming, pulling cards, and making a little Brigid's doll and pouring milk offerings and taking prayer requests. So you can join me here, there, or everywhere, wherever you want. We've got stuff going on all over the place for the next 2 days. We are now today celebrating, starting the month of Guanyin in the Mount Shasta Goddess Temple. And people might kind of be wondering, well, isn't every day Guanyin Day? Like, we have a whole every day for her. Why do we have a month for her? But in our temple, we honor each of the different goddesses that we work with in their own month, and Guanyin is with us every day, but during the month of February, she's really with us. And we are working with her forms, her various different manifestations, and we're going to be working with a couple of different resources about Guanyin this month, and I thought I'd just share them with you. For our daily kind of contemplation, like our little prayer that we do at the beginning, I'm going to be using this book by Daniela Schenker, who has created beautiful artwork with words relevant to the 33 different forms of Guanyin as described in the Lotus Sutra. And then after we hear about one of the forms of Guanyin from this book, we're going to be doing a special divination. This book was a gift from Lama Wangmo. She thought I might like this. And it has in the back a divination board. And you're supposed to throw a stone to land on one of these 100 numbers. And then when you land on one of the 100 numbers with your stone, I've got a piece of lapis, you then go and you look up one of whatever the corresponding divinatory poem is. So this has translation by Professor Chris Wen-Cha Lee, and the system was created by Marina Lighthouse. Then what we're going to do is we're also going to look at the same divination in this book, which is another translation. This translation is by Manho Kwok, and then some of the interpretations are expanded upon by Martin Palmer and Jay Ramsey. And then tomorrow, I think, or in the next couple days, I've got a third book arriving. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw our stone, get the divination, and look at the 3 different translations. The poems are short. They're only like 4 lines. So we're going to look at the 3 different translations of the poems and see how the different authors have interpreted the meaning of these poems. And that will help us understand our own interpretation. So I hope you're going to enjoy our workings this month, and let's dive right in. So the first form of Guanyin that we're working with, number 1, is Dragon Head Guanyin. The key word, according to Daniela Schenker, who wrote this book, for this form of Guanyin is power. Guanyin glides through the clouds riding on a dragon. The dragon's head symbolizes her magical powers, which help her free people from suffering. Her hands are lifted to protect against evil forces. In Chinese culture, the dragon is a lucky animal. It is, in fact, the king of animals and represents wisdom, strength, leadership, transformation, and deep spirituality. Like Guanyin, the dragon can move in the sky, in the water, and on earth, transforming as required and undetected in the world of humans. We too share some of this ability to transform. For example, we change into the appropriate attire for our professions or for social occasions. This principle of self-transformation applies to our mental and emotional lives as well. In certain situations, we may change internally into unconscious and weak beings, allowing ourselves to be trapped and forgetting that we are, in fact, powerful dragons. There's a Chinese legend about a dragon emperor who connects with Guanyin through gratitude when the goddess saves his son. His son had changed himself into a fish and was soon caught by fishermen who wanted to sell him at the market. And in this story, all the people gather in the market and they're all like listening to this talking fish, and they all think they want to eat the talking fish because then they'll have magic powers. And then Guanyin booms out her voice and says, it's better to sell this fish to someone who would preserve his life rather than someone who would eat him. And then her own agent buys the fish and she frees the fish. And the grateful emperor rewarded her with a luminescent luminescent pearl. The emperor's granddaughter, Long Yu, brought the pearl to Guanyin and became so fascinated by her that she chose to stay and become her disciple. Turn to Dragon Head Guanyin when you want to escape from the prison of negative thoughts and emotions. Ask her to free you so that you can regain your own dragon power and open yourself to your true potential. And I just thought I'll share the art of this beautiful image of Guanyin and the dragon. So now let's throw our divination. It landed on poem number 69. Okay, so we've got our 2 interpretations. 5 seasons. A plum tree stands alone on a hill of its own. Its petals drop, its branches wither, its sap falls low. And yet, spring comes with all its vibrancy in spite of frost, and the beauty and the life return to the flowers. See them. And in this book, a lone plum tree on a wintry hill, stripped of foliage but standing tall. Come spring, the branches begin to grow, the most ravishingly beautiful flowers of them all. And in a reading, this offers a little further explanation. The arrow misses its target, yet who knows what it might hit. Come springtime, life will bring a wealth of new offerings. The plum blossom, which perseveres through winter months, becomes the king of flowers, meaning if you can hold off and persevere, then the outlook is promising. So, how timely, considering that we had 3 feet of snow last week and everything just sort of shut down and stopped, and the store was totally dead all weekend. We had a very, very slow weekend. Hardly anybody came in, but it was so nourishing to spend time with the women who did come in. And then when we, are trying to dig ourselves out, I know for some of you in warmer climates, this isn't so much of a big deal. It's not like you've got 3 feet of snow if you're in a warmer area, but maybe you're dealing with rain. Or today I just saw that part of Highway 1 washed into the sea down near Big Sur. There's certainly no shortage of little obstacles facing us in weather, but not just in weather. At this time of year, especially just between winter solstice and Imbolc, things do get a little bit difficult. It can be difficult emotionally. We can feel isolated and alone, and the pandemic certainly hasn't helped that. So let's really remember that, spring is coming, and what a perfect divination for today, for Imbolc, when we're kind of starting to maybe see the little snowdrops peeping up through the snow, and remembering that life will burst into flower once again. I have high hopes for my rose bushes, which are buried under a mountain of snow out there, but I've got high hopes that they'll live through the winter. And remember that whatever it is, whenever we're facing a winter of the soul, we can actually turn within and have all the remembrance of all the times that we felt that way before, and remembrance of all the times that it turned around. No winter of the soul lasts forever, just as no winter in the weather lasts forever. So let's really honor our process today of greeting the spring and remembering that hope will rise like sap once again in the spring. And that's our short bit for today. Thank you for coming if that's what you were here for. Otherwise, if you want to stick around, we'll do Guanyin practice. We'll begin with 3 prostrations before the Shrine of Guanyin. And let's take refuge. Namo Guru Be. I take refuge in the inner teacher. Namo Buddhaye. I take refuge in the great mother of compassion. Namo Dharmaye. I take refuge in the wisdom of the ages. Namo Sanghaye. I take refuge in the community of practitioners. And let's set our intention, a person, place, situation, or circumstance that will benefit from today's practice. And today we're holding Hernyu and holding Care and her family who are struggling through this COVID time, holding anybody who's had any difficulties, losses, or illnesses over the weekend. And let's recite the four immeasurables. May I be a source of loving kindness in this world and all worlds, bringing a generous heart to all my thoughts and doings. May I be a vehicle of compassion in this world and all worlds, ever mindful and aware of the tremendous suffering of others. May I be a brimming vessel of joy in this world and all worlds, delighting in the happiness of others as their suffering is alleviated. May I be a balance point of equanimity in this world and all worlds, seeing all as equals and all as deserving of goodness. Let's make our offerings. I light this candle as a symbol of the enlightening Dharma way. May it shine brightly for the benefit of all beings. I light this incense as an offering for Guanxi Yin, she who hears the cries of the world, mother of all. Om Ahum. 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 Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and virtual. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the meditation of all holy and ordinary beings. Please, Guanyin, remain until the end of samsaric existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. Now 108 recitations of Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa as we awaken that compassion of Guanyin, and it melts our hearts, just like the snowdrops peek up through the snow and life is renewed. Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa, Nam mô Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát. 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 Namo Guanxi Yin Pusa. 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 Wherever there is space, 5 elements pervade. Wherever the 5 elements, the homes of living beings. Wherever living beings, karma and defilements. Wherever is defilement, my compassion is also. Wherever is the need of beings, there I am to help them. To the hungry I was heaps of food and all good things, and thus I brought them joy. To the cold and freezing I was fire and sun warmth, thus their joy. To the poor and needy I was wealth and riches, thus their joy. To the naked I was every kind of raiment, thus their joy. To the childless I was sons and daughters, thus their joy. To those who sought a lover I was a loving and attractive consort, and thus their joy. To those who wanted magic powers I gave prowess in the 8 great cities, and thus I brought them joy. To the sick I was their remedy, and thus their joy. To the anguished I was all their mind desired, and thus I was their joy. To those hard-pressed by the punishments of despots, I was the loving friend to lead them to the land of peace, and I was thus their joy. To those in fear of wild beasts I was a haven, thus their joy. To those who fell into the depths I was their drawing out, and thus their joy. To those tormented in the fires I was a quenching stream, and thus their joy. To those in prey of any of the elements I was their medicine, and thus their joy. For those who could not see I was their eyes and brought them joy, and for those who could not walk I was feet, and thus their joy. I was a tongue for those who could not speak, and thus I brought them joy. To those in fear of death I granted immortality, and thus I was their joy. I led the dying on the path of transference and brought them joy. To those who wandered in the bardo state, I was their spirit guide, bringing them to joy. I cooled the burning heat and warmed the cold of those lost in the realms of hell. Howsoever they were tortured, I changed myself to shield them, being thus their joy. To those who lingered in the land of hungry ghosts, I was their food and drink, and thus their joy. I was freedom from oppression and servitude for those caught in the wordless state of beasts, and thus I brought them joy. Those beings born in places of war, I protected them from strife and brought them joy. I was a truce from endless conflict for the demigods, and was thus their joy. The jealous gods I guarded from their bitter fall, and I was thus their joy. I shielded all from everything that tortured them, and was their every joy. The power of being whatever is needed. 108 recitations of Om Mani Padme Hum as we open our minds and our hearts to the possibility of somehow today being whatever hope is needed amidst the dreary, the rainy, the downcast, the difficult. Being that blossoming, that plum blossom, that king of flowers in the winter. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 And let's give thanks for our teachers. May all of my precious teachers enjoy long, happy, healthy, productive lives and great support for their good works. May all beings benefit from their wisdom. May they enjoy a swift and happy rebirth. And long life bear for Lamadechin Yeshe Wangmo. Om Sosti. Through the powerful blessings of the immortal Pema Jungye and his consort, may the three secret qualities of the Dakini of supreme bliss, Yeshe Wangmo, be utterly stable, and may the light of her activities shine on the lotus groves of the teachings and of beings, so that they blossom in radiant splendor. And let's dedicate the merit. May the merit of this practice and all of my activities be of endless benefit to all beings in all realms, beginningless and continuous. May all obstacles be overcome and suffering cease at the sound of liberation. May all beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all beings have happiness and its causes. And may we carry the blessings and essence of Guanyin in our hearts. Namo Guanxin Pusa. And we close with a bow to Guanyin, bow to one another, and bow to the inner teacher. And wishing everyone a day of feeling that hope flowing through your body and your mind and your heart, just as deep, deep beneath the earth, everything knows that spring is coming. Be back tomorrow with another form of Guanyin and a different poem. Bye.